Shalom, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakadash, and Abalan also the elder apostles, elder bishops, and brothers on Donga Great Millstone. Salutations. So, for you like, this is your brother Rai Banyamia with another lesson. Title of this lesson: More Signs Babylon is Going Down. And, for this, we look no further than prophecy, right? And we also look at the money exchanging that is going on in the United States, military strength, plagues, famine, so on and so forth. These are also indications that society is crumbling. Also, moral and spiritual decay. But this time we'll focus on the recession that is coming, as per Business Insider by Matthew Fox, published a day ago. Alright, so we get into it, hit a few scriptures, close it out. Lord willing, it'll be edifying unto the elect. It says a recession is about to hit the U.S. economy, and these three warning signs are defying the consensus view. Raymond James says, it says the U.S. economy is showing resilience, but Raymond James says a recession is still on the table. Here are a few bullet points. It says a recession is poised to hit the U.S. economy within the next few months. Raymond James says the investment firm said rising borrowing costs, a tapped out consumer, and ongoing labor strikes should push the economy into a recession. Yeah, a lot of strikes is happening right now, especially with those plants that builds those cars and trucks at Ford, Stellantis, and I believe GM too, if I remember correctly. It says these are the three big warning signs Raymond James is monitoring ahead of the potential recession. A lot of people is going to be affected by this because when the economy goes down, there will be no going into work. No collecting money, but then bills are still going to be going up, so it's going to trickle down to sedition and a lot of crimes. Continuing on, it says, don't be fooled by the resilient consumer, as a recession is poised to hit the U.S. economy within the next 9 months. It says within, so it could be sooner, right? And any space of time could be 4 months, could be 3 months, or whatever. It says Raymond James, Chief Investment Officer Larry Adams, said in a recent note, Wall Street forecasts of a recession have been pushed further and further out into the future as consumers continue to show solid spending habits and are overall in good financial shape. A lot of people are using credit cards, man. I'm not saying that everybody is broke. There's still a lot of people out there with money. But the working class people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and as they say, does not have $400 of savings in their accounts. A lot of them are using credit cards for basic needs. So when the crash happen or when the bank pull back credit, that lifeline will no longer be available. So you will see more people struggling in a worse way than they already have. It says, but Adams said a convergence of several risk factors suggests the economy would be unable to avoid a mild recession within the next year. These are three warning signs, he said, he was monitoring ahead of a potential recession. First bullet point is growing headwinds for consumers. From the resumption of student loan repayments to elevated borrowing costs, there are a lot of risks that everyday consumers are forced to navigate. Tailwinds that drove strong consumer spending since the pandemic ended, and excess savings have been nearly depleted. Sure, consumers have jobs and income right now, but their ability to continue to consume indiscriminately is coming to an end, Adams said. He pointed to recent comments from Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan, who said consumer spending was running at levels consistent with low inflation, low growth economy that was prevalent before the pandemic. Finally, growing credit card debt and rising delinquencies suggest more Americans are starting to fall behind on debt obligations. And you're seeing that in car repossessions as well. While we are not suggesting that consumption is going to fall off a cliff, a moderation in spending should be expected, Adams said. Second bullet point, high borrowing costs. High borrowing costs for cars, homes, and credit cards pose a threat to economic growth, especially if they persist for longer than expected. Adams said the housing market's ongoing affordability crisis suggests residential real estate activity would stay frozen, and this is weighing on home builder confidence, which has declined to its lowest level since January. Consumers are navigating this scenario by utilizing adjustable rate mortgages, which now make up nearly 10% share of new homes. The higher interest rates are also impacting business capital expenditure plans. A, a composite of regional Fed CAPEX survey shows that business CAPEX spending plans over the next 6 months have fallen to their second lowest level in the post C19 era, Adams said. With all these, people are spending less, businesses are gonna spend less, or they would do what is called shrink. They would give less, for more, because businesses still have to put out energy in the form of paying bills, especially transportation, diesel, ordering things, right? So as people spend less, the businesses they would take in, more money, but they still would be expending, costs. You understand? And with the rising cost to borrow money, you understand, a lot of these small businesses, they're gonna go under. But this is the time the editors were warned about that was gonna come, right? A time of desolation and a time of destruction. You understand? So right now, like you said, people are spending less, so they are pinching their money. But there will come a time, like what happened in Venezuela, things are going to be so high that is going to go into a time of food famine. Right? Some of it, the material, water, so on and so forth, may be available, but to get clean water, would be highly inaccessible. So I'm going to read 2 Ezra, 16 chapter, verse 19 on down to verse 23. It says, "Behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish," right? These things that are happening as part of anguish, man, are sent as scourges for amendment. So these things are happening to Babylon, aka America, and around the world because of the wickedness that they have done in the world, the wickedness that they have done to the children of Israel. So these things are not just happening just for happening's sake, right? So these things are amendment for Esau, Edom, and the other nations, and the wicked amongst all people that follow the Edomites. All right? But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And as you'll see through the Spirit, when you're out there, people are getting more worse. People are seeing new wars are forming. Things are worse every year than the year before. Things are worse every month than they was before. But you would think that people would turn from their wickedness. Now you're seeing more depravity, more abominations, right? So people are getting more worse, and as get more worse, the Most High is going to ramp these things up. It says, "Behold, victuals, right? Prices of goods, services, shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." So even, back in 2021, when things were still relatively cheap, 2020, the evils that were growing, the cold wars that have now become hot wars, all these things were happening, in the background, right? You have more scoffers, more, false teachers that are rising, that was always in the background. Right? So while people think that they were living their best life, the Most High was moving still with prophecy. "For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy." So more wars, civil wars, seditions, and stuff that is coming here. So those that have survived the hard times of the famine, right, due to preparing or what have you, they will be consumed by fighting and sedition. Last verse in this section, it says, "And the dead shall be as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them." Right? So they'll have a stench. So people will be like shit upon you. There'll be no burials, no funerals for them. They'll just be laid out on the streets. So in the dire times to come, Lord willing, if we still be alive to see those things, we're gonna see, you're gonna see dead bodies on the streets. It'll be like a time that has never been seen before. It says, "For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down." So great and terrible times is coming, and these are just indications. With the famine, with these falling of the economy, these just stages, but it's gonna come to a point where it's gonna be worse, and people are gonna try to look back at the good times, but they're gonna be so bad that they may not even remember the good times. This is the third point. It says, macro risk are building. It says risks surrounding the economy and the stock market are rising, and quickly. Elevated gas prices, conflicts in the Middle East, and soaring consumer sentiment are just a few of the lingering threats. The Conference Board Expectation Index tumbled to its lowest level in 4 months, a level that historically signals a recession within the next year, Adams said. The index measures consumers' attitudes toward the short-term outlook for the economy and jobs market. All of these risks should ultimately weigh on consumer spending habits as the crucial holiday season approaches. When I just read that, it took me back to this verse that I just read here. 2 Ezra 16 and 20 says, "But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges," right? We see how it just says here. All of these risks should ultimately weigh on consumer spending habits as the crucial holiday season approaches. So people know that the Thanksgiving is in commemoration for the killing of our Northern Kingdom brothers, right? The tribe of God, right, that dwell upon these lands. Christmas, right, in veneration for our false deity. You understand? All these things are wickedness. So even though the price of things is actually going up, people is not going to even put off these things or do away with it. Hey, it's not worth it. It's wrong. I'm putting my money into the wrong things. They're gonna still find a way to spend the money on these particular seasons. So don't expect, so now, when they come up with those reports, it shows this year Christmas spending was 200 billion or wherever it is compared to that last year. I wouldn't doubt if it exceed last year's spending. So people's not gonna turn from their ways, man. This is why, like it goes back in the 19th verse. It says, "Behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment." So it's to correct the behavior of the wicked in society. Lastly, it says, add in the possible disruptions from the ongoing auto workers strikes, potential temporary federal government shutdown. So a lot of people forgot about that in mid-November, and growth could look considerably weaker in the months ahead, Adam said. All right, and that concludes the article. And lastly, I want to read to end it, Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verse 3 and verse 4. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders shall cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." So the work is going to come to a halt. And not only that, everything is going to look gloomy. There'll be no hope in it. Like the guy said at the end, he had the bullet points of people using their credit or maxing out their credit. But then he added the auto workers union, which puts a lot of money into the economy. And then the potential government shutdown. The wars that is happening. So all these things are taking place. So people on every side, people won't be able to travel to, because when these wars happen, countries that are allied with one another, they would have traveling restrictions. They will have traveling restrictions for citizens of other countries. So the joy of traveling would stop. The spending would stop because people wouldn't have the working class people wouldn't have the money that they have before. Investments, all these things, futures, 401ks, investments, there would be no future in these things. It says, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets, and when the grinding is low, and he shall rise up to the voice of the bird, and the daughter of music shall be brought low." Right? So there will be no work. So those that get up, early to seek for work, whether it be construction, landscaping, or whatever, because a lot of these office jobs will no longer exist. Right? In order to even do the simple task of, cutting grass and all of that, the person that hired to do the job have to have the money to pay you. So if they don't have the money to pay you, a lot of people won't do it for free. So these are the times that is coming, crazy times ahead. So repent, Israel, so that you will be saved. Lord willing, this quick lesson was edified unto you elect. Until next time, Shalom. More signs, Babylon is going down. Shalom.